So, Chris Harvey back here again, fishing the bank, anatomy of an angler. So, we've set up the rods, playing around with the new rod pod I got yesterday. That's the Sabre one. I sold my other pod because it was just a bit too big and a bit clunky, and this one like packs down into a small bag. The bag's probably the same size as my head, so very small, like pinhead. Yeah, so I've got to the lake, and as you saw, I've already had a little one. It's good to kind of like, I'm happy to get whatever I want to get at the minute. It's so cold to put the gloves on because my fingers after that fish had gone numb. So yeah, not bad. Look, it's only like 2-3 pounds or whatever, 2.5 pound like little ghosty, but still breaks a blank, I guess. So back again, we've had nothing since the first one. The heavens have opened a little bit and it's got really cold, so I am down kind of the shallow-ish part of the lake. I'm potentially going to move. I'm going to give it another hour and then I'm going to move. I'm going to wait for the rain to stop anyway. Mate Mikey's turned up, he's set up over there, he's in the little sort of middle section, but I'm going to move like a little bit further down. I've got one rod to the left, small tiny little pop up, just about an inch off the bottom, and then I've got one wafter straight on the bottom. So caught me the bite this morning, so hopefully the wafters will be for win today, but we'll see. The wind's just kicking out so much, so sorry about the ducks as well, they're having a little toot. Ah! Anyway, keep myself entertained. Tried saving a mouse earlier, but I think it's been poisoned, so sadly couldn't do anything. Oh, we're on. So, just £13. But beautiful looking cat. He's been fighting all over here. He's back in the water now. So guys, I completely forgot to mention what kind of rig I'm using, and I thought I'd add that to the section here. As you can see here, it's obviously not going to be in focus, but I'll show you a bit more detail. It is some coated braided link with a little bit of braid taken off at the end, which I actually put a lead shot on so I can move it up and down the rig. And the reason why I use this so much is because it's really strong. It's really durable, plus I get that buoyancy, and I also can use I could use a pop-up, I could use a wafter, and it will just sit nicely over the top of the hook, and also I can use just a bottom bait, and it will just lie there straight on top, so it's quite close to the hook, so it'll hide it really well. And the amount of fish I've caught on this and not lost is unreal. It's got some really good hooking potential, and I don't know, I rely on it. The only downside is obviously using string tube, so it's not as easy to change the hook length, off the end if you blunt one of your hooks. But if I would only use this on sort of like really silty lakes, or something that I can fish flat on the bottom where I know there's no snags and bits and bobs to damage the hook too much. It's great as well in PVA bags. I usually attach a mesh bag to it so it doesn't tangle up, but again, using the anti-tangle sleeve on the other end is really good, but we'll go into more depth now. This is the product you're going to need to make this. On this one I'm going to use a size 8. I generally use a size 6, but this is going to be a size 8 Kamakura. Got a pulley tool to tighten everything up later on. A braid stripper, coated braid stripper. Some coated braid. This is £15. Scissors. Shrink tube of your choice, colour wise. This is black and clear. Bait screw and a bait stop. And then once it's all done, depending on what kind of pop-up or presentation you've got on, you will use a variety of different weighted lead shots. Here we go. So I'll put the braid through the front eye of the hook, and I pull it so it's just past the curve of the hook, as you see there. Hold tight, and we're going to go round the hook length 4 to 5 times. and then we're going to poke the hook length back through the eye of the hook, and that's really important, so that's going to give us more hooking potential there as well. And then you're going to pull really tight. So we've got a little bit of a hair there that we're going to, a little tag end there we're going to take off. Pulley tool comes in handy. So I just attach the pulley tool and just give it a quick tug, because we're going to end. And you're left with that nice little presentation there. And in all fairness, that's probably a good little hook link if you want to do it really simple. You can put your rig screw on there, bait and screw, and then your bait stop on there, and it's done, dusted. I just find that with adding the extra little bit of shrink tube, you're getting a better hooking potential, and it kind of keeps all this nice and neat, so it's not going to get snagged up on anything. On that note, we add the shrink tube in, and at this point I don't cut it to length just yet. I want to see where the hook point is and where I might need to cut off. So if I hold this, so the hook point I want to come where the hook ends, I want to come a little bit, tiny micromillimeter just below that, and then I can see the fold there. So I need to be cutting it somewhere around here, so put my fingernail in there. You've got a nice little crease there you can work with. Cut that off. Now I place in position, and this is where the kettle comes in handy. So while your kettle's boiling, at this point you just want to tie the shrink tube on and pull. Pull at a right angle, and then you can set how much you want that aggressive turn in the shrink tube. And you're left with something a little bit like that. If it's a wide gape, I tend to have it come in just to give it that little bit more of a pinch on the end. But then when it's got a curve on it, I tend to, depending on how long the curve is, I tend to go a little bit sort of shallower, and that's where we leave it. So you've got a little bit. There's going to be a 12mm pop-up on this hook length, so I'm just going to put quite a small little pop-up lead shot on there. Pinch it down, not too hard, and that gives me the option then to move up and down where I want. And if you wanted to do more, have more of a leverage on this obviously you can move this coated braid down by just pulling it, and then you'll be able to pierce it off playing around with it. But I tend to usually have an inch, and then it means that then I've got the hook almost like a spinner rig, and then now I'm about 2 inches off the bottom with my hook bait on that one, depending on what lake you're fishing on and how you want to fish it. Slide your anti-tangle sleeve on. And then just do, in the end of it, just do a figure of 8 knot. Pull it tight. Final touch, put the hooking tool in, both ends, and give it a really good pull. So now you know that it's nice and tight, it's all locked in. Bait and screw goes over. On the bait stop. And this area for me is a play around area depending on how you're fishing. So if I'm fishing a wafter, I like the bait stop to be just across from the hook, just above it. So I've got a little bit of movement, not loads, because there's obviously going to be more movement than normal with the bait screw. If I'm fishing a pop-up, I'll move it a little bit higher onto the curve, and it'll sit proud then, high, ready for some good hooking potential there. And that's it. Simple. I hope that helped. It is one of my favourite hook lengths to use, and it seems quite difficult to use. It's like obviously a lot harder than doing a hair rig or something like that, but once I've made one, I tend to make about 3 or 4, and I find it quite therapeutic, especially to do it in an evening. I make all the rig lengths up, and then the last thing I actually do is steam the shrink tube, so I can do all 5 at the same time. It's just easier to show in the demonstration kind of the steps that you need to do to take this, but once you've made one, you can make all sorts of different lengths. I've got one here that I put into a PVA bag, so it's about maybe 2 inches shorter. So I hope that helps, and yeah, on to the next one. Whoo-wee! I mean, it's just, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's absolutely mental. This wind is crazy. I've moved down basically to the other end of the lake to see if I can get anything else, but all I've had is wind liners and wind. I had a good like wind take. That's about it really. I've put back leads on them now because it's getting a bit ridiculous. Swans have been messing with my line as well, so I've not really had much to know where I can go really, so I'm going to give it another couple of hours and then I'll probably move back down the bottom end again. But yeah, that's it, no news sadly, but I've always found this lake does do better late in an evening, so I'm going to stay a little bit later than I was expecting. We'll see how it goes. For now I'm going to put a brew on and chill, just watch my rods flicker in the wind. As if I just stopped filming that then. Shell shot. I think that was just a liner.
Still filming.
That's fine. By now, right? Get it, go on. Nope. Hey mate, he might be a little bit bigger. Might be a little bit of a chunky number. It's covered in rain. $12. I'll take that. There we go. £12. Bit of a random take. I was filming just to show where I was going to put it, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's gone. And I got a little bit of a random take, but yeah, it's cold as ice. Nose is dripping. Put it back in the water. I hope you like the video, guys and girls. It's obviously the first one I've done so far. I've got another 4, I think, in the pipeline. It's taken me a while to start editing through them. But yeah, I really enjoyed the session, and I hope you enjoyed it. I realised I hadn't done sign off, so here it is. If you like the content, please subscribe. It lets me know that you like what I'm doing. I'm going to carry on doing a lot more vlogs, and then much more like tips and tricks and stuff, the stuff I'm learning whilst I'm fishing and I'm at the bank. So I hope you like this one, and this is my sign off. See you later.